Jake, I have a question for you.
Hit me.
Sincerely. Okay. Let's say tomorrow, everything hit the reset button. Okay. World War III. I don't know. Everything starts over. Jake Weisler Films has to start from the ground up. You got to build your business again. What do? Where do you start? As opposed to what you did in the beginning.
I think I'd go to my local Megaplex theater and just sling popcorn until I die.
So we would just
save myself.
Oh, so we're really hitting the reset. We're just going different route.
I think I would just do what I've always wanted to do.
I think we've mentioned this before. Jake would run a Megaplex, and it'd be a dang good Megaplex,
so
man. That would be
Guys,
good popcorn.
Picture this. The coffee cinema house.
Yeah.
And you walk in and
CCH.
I want it to feel like a neighborhood coffee shop.
You want kind of like a lounge area.
A lounge area.
Yeah.
And there's black and white projectors playing on the walls.
Get the smoke machines.
Yeah, the chandeliers, red carpet.
The
feels like a
haze.
1920s. And there's like a little bar. You can order your espresso if you're into that, popcorn, and then you just walk into the theater whenever you're ready. But it's a place you hang out.
Yeah. Too many
It's a
people.
place you'd want to you could wear sweats to, but you also would feel comfortable wearing a dinner jacket
Like a
to it.
three-piece with a bow tie. Yeah.
Anyway, but
One can dream.
But I dream.
One can dream.
For now, I'll trade my time for money every single weekend. Give up my life.
The Megaplex is a distant dream.
No, good question though. What would I do? Let's keep it about Runaway Vows.
Okay.
Because I want to use that lens first. Like, what would we do if we started from zero today with everything we know now? Without any social media, no website, no clientele, no referrals, no reputation, what would we do? I think number one, I'd do what we did first, and that's build a brand.
Yeah, I agree.
I would hire someone or do it ourselves.
Cohesiveness. Yeah.
If you have no budget, ChatGPT and figure out exactly, okay, let's start over.
Yeah. Okay, Jake.
As I'm
what would
talking,
you do?
I'm
Yeah.
getting it.
You're starting to get. What would you do if you had to start over again?
Step number one, I'd find out my ICP.
Ideal.
We would
client
find out our
profile.
ICP. We would say, who are we trying to attract? Because that influences everything else.
True.
How we charge, where we charge, how we dress, what our branding looks like, who we want to service, what we want to post. Like all of that comes back to who are we trying to attract.
And by the way, guys, when he says ICP, it's not just, oh, I want to film like rich people.
Yeah.
It's when we did this with our brand designer, we had to talk about, okay, like rich people, how rich?
Yeah.
Oh, rich and young. Okay, how young?
Yeah.
Are we talking like 20s, 30s, 40s?
Yeah.
Okay, how do they dress? What do they like to do on their weekends? Like really diving in, being really nitty gritty specific.
And then we learned as we went through this in depth that it wasn't even the bride and groom we were trying to attract. It was the planner. Because we learned that at all these weddings, there was a planner.
Yep.
And that planner was the gatekeeper of who got to be at these weddings.
Yeah.
And so we learned that's our ideal client. So that's what I'd do first.
And these planners were throwing these weddings for the ICP every single week. So we could go shop and try to find these couples, or we find the planner who does all the work for us. And that planner then comes to us and rinse and repeat.
Step number two, I'd go to a styled shoot or a workshop and get content. Or if I couldn't afford that and didn't want to do that, I would reach out to some friends, tell them to get in their nice dresses, a pretty ball gown and a suit, and I would go film them in love, running through a field, maybe saying some vows, just to show what I can do.
Yep.
I blast it everywhere. I build a brand, build a website, and then use that content to market it towards my ideal client, which is a planner.
I like that.
Step three is to get FaceTime with those planners. So to walk into networking events, WIPA, anything I could go get in front of people where I didn't have to shove my business card in their faces, but I could still shake hands and offer my services.
Yeah, casual conversation.
And I'd probably do I would offer a free first video to every single person I talk to.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I have no portfolio. Take a chance on me. Here's a video I did. I do good work. I'd love to come and do a video for you, free of charge.
Yeah.
Would love just to kind of service your brand.
The old feet of free.
And then say, but moving forward, if you like it, I charge $5,000 or whatever.
Yeah. And that's something we've learned too, is many times there have been, people we've met, networks we've been put into, circles we've, been introduced into that are way more valuable to be a part of than a one-off job that we would have charged somebody for.
Yeah.
So you might be tempted, you meet this really cool planner and whatever, and you want to charge them $10,000 right out the gate, but maybe you'll get it. Cool. Great for you if you do. But what's been more valuable to us is doing something for them for free, getting on their good graces, becoming good friends with them. All of a sudden, they love us. They introduce us to their friends, their network. They get us more gigs. It's a long-term sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then I just rinse and repeat. Like
ICP, get some
big
shoots.
ones. Yeah, understand your ICP, get the content you need to market, and then market it. Really, that's all. I think going back now, I'd spend a way less time on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'd spend a way less time perfecting my filmmaking skills. I'd definitely take on mentorships to get good as possible. But I think I put most of my energy into building the relationships with planners.
I would say that's something we did pretty well, at least. I got to give us a little bit of credit. We did do the whole mentorship route.
Yeah, we did.
There's a ton of mentors out there. There's no one right way to do everything.
Yeah.
And I received some advice a while ago where it said, it doesn't matter who you choose, but just try to stick to one person for now. It doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be Larev. It doesn't have to be 31. Like, it doesn't have to be anybody. Just whoever you choose, whoever style you align with. Let's say it's Will Sarmiento and you want to shoot like Will Sarmiento. It's going to be in your best interest to take on mentorships from Will Sarmiento. It's not going to do you a whole lot of good if you want to be exactly like him and you're taking, calls from everyone who shoot completely different, right? So just define what your goals are.
A little muddy.
It does get a little muddy. It's not to say you shouldn't at some point, but like maybe you want to explore a different branch after you've, learned how Will does everything. And, but that's something we did. We did invest in mentorship and we went to stylist shoots.
Yep.
That's where we went to Emma's thing.
Yeah, I agree.
What did we do? Shortest episode to date.
I was like, the only thing I was like, yeah, it's really what I do. But yeah, about things I wouldn't do.
Yeah, what did we do wrong, or what do you see people doing wrong?
I think we just.
You mentioned the social media. I do think people spend too much time obsessing over everything on social media.
I love the principle of ready, fire, aim, but I think like anything, you can take it too far.
You can.
And I think we took it too far a couple of times where we just we kind of knew the direction we wanted to go to and we went way too in on that and then went to backtrack and go, actually, we're going this direction.
Well, I think the problem with that is there's no clear goal.
Yeah.
Like we
didn't have a clear goal.
ready, fire, and aimed, and they were working, but then we're like, oh, that's not the direction we want to go in. Actually, so we have to backtrack and do another thing. And so if we would just had a goal and said, we're going to try 50 different things all pertaining to this goal, I think it could have worked better.
Yeah, I agree. I also would, I think I'd be a lot more confident in my pricing. I think it took me years to really feel like I was worth money. And I think going from a corporate job where you don't really choose your price, you just accept whatever they offer you and then you're happy with the paycheck or unhappy with the paycheck versus you are now on the grill, and whatever you say, the client's like, whoa, that scared me for a long time.
Pricing's a weird one in this industry because you can break it down into hourly and, have it all on spreadsheets and whatever. But at some point, there's a fee just to have you there. You're a commodity.
Yeah. And I think it took me a second to really be confident in that.
Yeah. And I would even go so far as say is, what I thought you were going to say and what I'm going to say now is, I would just be more confident. I would practice being in this, practice envisioning yourself being in the circle that you're trying to get into. We're trying to get into these big things, luxury planners, luxury people who wear nice, expensive things. And I think just developing confidence, just how to talk to people, how to let a moment be silent, let it breathe, let the other person talk about themselves, smile, eye contact, less ums and likes and literallys,
Way more eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before, but if you guys have seen, I hope you have all seen, YouTube search Paylessy.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating case study.
Yeah.
And then before the other brands, but Paylessy was where they took Payless shoe stores and they made a luxury looking brand called it Paylessy. And they put their Payless shoes in these beautiful Gucci looking stores, but they're the same shoe with a crazy high price tag. And they interview people who'd walk in and out of the store and buy these shoes for a 10x what they're worth. and say like, what do you love about Paylessy? And like, oh, it's just such a luxury, so custom, so curated,
Built so well.
just all the trigger words that like you're like, it's all because of how they felt walking in.
Yeah.
And so it's our testimony to you guys that you don't have a pricing problem.
No.
You have a perception problem.
How your brand's perceived.
Yes.
Yep.
And so when we look at our pricing and it's like, oh, like, I don't know, like, it's like, well, if you don't feel worth $10,000, or let's say if you don't feel worth $7,000, why would your clients ever have the confidence to pay you? If you can't look me in the eye and say, yeah, here's why I'm worth $7,000, why would they pay you?
Yeah.
But if they walk up to you and you are so confident, like, here's what I offer and here's why it's worth $7,000, that confidence alone, like what Nate was saying, that confidence alone warrants the price tag.
Yeah. Have you ever believed something that somebody said just because they sounded confident?
All the time.
I think we all have.
I try to say things with confidence that I know nothing about.
And it's
all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, it goes a long way, honestly. Like you might be shaking on the inside when someone asks you what you're pricing. Actually, good story about this. Were you about to shake my hand? Are you going for the Sonic? Before Kinetic, we went to Kinetic Experience, and this is a moment where Jake and I, and we've talked about this before, we're really open about it. Yeah. Our average booking price right now is $15,000. We've done more than that, less than that, depends if it's local, travel, whatever.
Right now, our average is $15K.
Right now is, right in that like 15 to 18 mark.
Yep.
But in a time period earlier this year,
literally last fall.
Yeah, last fall, we were really, what's the word I'm looking for? We were
stuck.
We were just not confident. There's a different word.
Yeah.
There was another word, insecure. We were insecure, apprehensive,
small-minded.
And at this time, we were going to the Kinetic Experience, and Jake and I, we had to sit down and we had to say, okay, listen, if a planner walks up to us and asks, "What's your pricing?" we had to shake each other's hands and say, "Hey, we start at $15K," and that was kind of scary for us
because at the time we were averaging 10 to 12.
Yeah.
But we had the goal to raise our prices.
Right. We wanted to make that little, jump on the rung of the ladder. And so we shook each other's hands, said, okay, any planner asks us, $15K starting.
With confidence.
That's what we say. We don't bat an eye. And so one day we're at a lunch, and a certain planner was there, and she was on the phone, and Jake and I were walking around with our cameras.
Working.
Yeah, we haven't met her.
Like a dog.
We said, Dan. We've met her only once. Just shook her hand and said, "Hey, Jake and Nate, great to meet you." And that was it. But we're walking around. Jake walks by this planner. She's on the phone with a client. She puts it down, goes, "Hang on," puts the phone down, asks Jake, "What do you guys charge? Quick, I'm on the phone with a client."
Out skipping a beat, you guys. I look in the eye and I say $15K.
Yeah, but sweating bullets on the inside. $15K. And what did she do?
Great. Are you available this date? I'm like, yeah. We weren't. Yeah. Great. And then she goes to the phone, and I go back to filming. I go tell Nate, this person just asked.
And we were just like, what?
And she came to me after. She's like, great, send them your info.
Yeah. You should be hearing from them.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it was that easy,
Crazy.
And it was just one of those things where we're worth that. We know we're worth that, but we weren't confident in it. And I wish we would have done that sooner when people asked us.
Yeah.
Because it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's crazy what confidence can do.
Yeah.
But also, I think the big difference is Nate and I, what Nate said, we know we're worth it. I think I see a lot of people who want that money too quick.
Yeah.
They want to raise their prices prematurely.
Yeah.
Maybe their systems aren't in place. Maybe their branding isn't dialed in yet. Maybe their technical skills aren't up to par yet. Or most of the time, a lot of those things are true at the same time, which if one of those is falling behind, usually you can get up to speed quick. But if most of your skills aren't there yet, but you're wanting to make money because you need money, that's where I have a hard time with it. I don't care how confident you are. And we know some pretty confident people who are scamming. Yeah. Scamming their brides and their planners and telling them that they are worth a certain price tag, and they're truly not. Yeah. Even though they have all the confidence in the world, which at that point I would call arrogance and being a fraud.
Slimy. Yeah, slimy.
Whereas Nate and I, we've built over the last 8 years our technical abilities and our business abilities and our I'd say one of our most valuable assets is our ability to problem solve at these live events, which planners find very helpful in couples. And so it just was one of those moments for us where once someone asked us and we said, you know what? No, we stood our ground. That's what we're worth. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to say 15K, but like, if they don't have that, just let us know. We'll make anything work. We're desperate. I just said 15K.
Yeah.
I said, great, and walked away. That was like a moment for us where we're like,
it was just clarity at that point. It's like,
yeah, you know? And we knew that our books were full this year of 15K weddings. We have a couple 12K weddings, a couple 18K weddings, but averaging 15K and a lot of 15K weddings. And it was one of those moments like, yeah, you know what? Why am I so afraid of that? We've earned it. And that's where our guns are being placed for next year.
Yeah. Whatever
that phrase means. I don't know what that even meant.
I don't know either.
I'm a gun guy, I guess. News to me. So be confident, you guys. Confidence is so attractive.
It is, yeah.
You know what's unattractive is weakness.
Not being.
What's the opposite of confidence?
Insecurity? Or is that like jealousy? What is the
It's like some guy can walk in a room like, that's a confident person. But you can't like walk in a room and be like, oh, that's an insecure person.
Yeah.
Shy?
Timid? No, because you can be shy. Well, timid? I don't know.
Confident, timid?
Apprehensive. I don't know. Kind of just like afraid to approach things, body language. I don't know. What is the opposite of confidence? I don't sound too confident even saying this. But while you're looking that up, I was going to... Self-doubt? But how do you walk in and say that person is self-doubt?
Insecurity, uncertainty is probably a better word.
Uncertain, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just can't decide on anything. Sorry,
Imposter
Tanner,
syndrome.
just hit the mic. But I was going to issue a challenge here. If you're a guy and you don't feel confident, put yourself in a 3-piece suit next time you're shooting a wedding. You're going to feel confident. If you're a girl, get a nice dress. Emma rocks a Prada bag. I'm like, that's pretty sick.
Pretty sick.
Pretty sick. Like, just dress to the nines to the next one. Get a nice haircut. Treat yourself, and you're going to be like, dang.
We should have an episode about that, because I think the conversation about investing a little bit of TLC into your look.
Oh, 100%.
Whether that's physical or spiritual, or I guess physical would be like also could be like health and wellness. Yeah. I am way more confident.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, put yourself in my shoes, you guys. Your business partner is a Greek god, chiseled by Michelangelo himself.
That's crazy.
And you have to walk into an event with this guy.
That's crazy.
And just towering over him like the Slender Man, and he just walks in just like, man, I couldn't. Oh,
but then Jake's got the smoothing voice.
Hold
Jake's
on.
got the sultrous voice,
which is nothing when someone's deaf and they don't care. And so, so for me, okay, that's what I deal with. Luckily, I mean, I joke about it, but I'm a pretty confident person. Sometimes
you are
overconfident.
A confident guy.
But for me, I've learned that even though I may not have the body, and I want to speak to people who feel this way too, who may not have like the ideal body or the ideal look or the ideal hair or size or the clothes that fit just right, whatever it is, when I put the effort in to like care for myself, and I know, man, I went to the gym this week, or man, I cut back on the soda this week.
He's got a 64-ounce Sonic slush.
or honestly, like for me, like, man, I prayed this morning, or like I did some breath work. I just
connected. I
wrote my journal with my daughter this morning. Like, I think any of those things that kind of improved the spirit for me, or the mind, the body, I just have more confidence the next day. Always, even though I'm not different looking. But like, I know I took care of myself that day, and it truly makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah. You wanted that.
No, I was going to speak to the opposite end of the spectrum, like people who do, my guys out there who are more quiet. I wouldn't say I grew out of I used to be really shy. I grew out of being shy when I would say probably late 20s last year.
Totally.
No, I grew out of being shy, I would say like late middle school. but I've always been a quiet guy since,
Yeah.
more reserved.
Meek. I think meek's a good word for you.
But well, thank you. That's a one of the kindest things Jake's ever said to me.
Just called him sculpted by Michelangelo not 3 seconds ago. But see how Nate wants the compliment of meek over the physical because he's not a vain person.
That's crazy. But no, like I feel like there are a lot of male videographers I can relate to that are quiet and they're more apprehensive. Their natural inclination isn't to go talk to people and just like be the center of attention, like talk to a planner. What you were saying is so true. Just when you take care of yourself, even just like a physical appearance, if you're proud of your physical appearance, that goes a long way. Like people notice you in a suit or a dress or whatever. They're like, dang, like that person takes care of themselves. And they instantly connect some dots and say, I bet that person runs a tight ship for their business. Right. Like that goes a long way too. So lean into your strengths. If you're an outspoken person, talk to other people about themselves. Don't talk about yourself. If you're more reserved and you're proud of whatever else it might be, just lean into that. Could be the color of your eyes. Wear something that complements it.
Or if like you're like, I just really hate my size or my body or whatever it is, like just dress really well then.
Yeah, dress
like
really well.
You can dress your body with clothes that fit your body, whether you're really tiny and small or really big. You can dress yourself where it's noticeable. Yeah. People are like, dang, that guy knows how to dress.
Or if you're super funny.
And he smells good.
Yeah, smells another one. Yeah.
Smells a big one.
I worked with a photographer recently. Funniest dude ever. Just not serious at all. But he's working these luxury weddings and the planners know who he is. And he's making jokes, cracking all these things. And the second he starts working, though, he's dialed in.
You gotta know when to turn it
people
on.
notice that, and they're like, "Yeah, I love that guy for that reason."
I agree.
Lean into what you're good at.
I think I'm much more confident when I do. Nate and I just went out and bought some nice suits.
Yeah, we buy and we get haircuts.
We went to go
event.
buy shirts for an event, like button-up shirts, and we broke the bank. Man, that shoot shop hated to see us coming. We were walking out of that mall with Nordstrom bags, Tacovas, State and Liberty. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was just a normal day for us. In fact, we had an entirely different thing planned, and we're just like, hey, I needed a suit. And so I was like, Jake, I need to get a suit. And Jake's like,
so we bought
say
4
less. And we ended up buying, five suits that day?
I bought 2 suits. No,
you bought 3.
I bought 2 suits and a dinner jacket.
And I bought 2 suits. I bought 2 suits.
I bought 2 and a dinner
couple
jacket.
shirts.
Nate bought a couple shirts. I got a shirt. We both got leather jackets.
And it hurt
and
the bank a little bit.
And some shoes.
But we walked out and said, that is an investment,
I feel so confident.
We felt great in that.
And so that honestly helps me as well, is when I dress well. And I can confidently say every time we intentionally, like, we're not just putting on a suit, but we're like, how can we dress for this event?
Right.
It's always complimented on.
Yeah.
Every time.
It is.
In fact, did I talk about this? But we were at this event. I was at this event. Nate was in Greece. And a planner was there who I had just kind of connected with officially. We went to dinner. And she just like paused and said, can I just like say, I love your vibe. And I was like, oh, and people never compliment me like about that. They usually hate my vibe. And I'm like, oh, like, she's like, I was wearing like this gold pinky ring. I had this gold brooch and this like maroon dinner jacket. Like it was just a good fit. I was really proud of it. And she noticed and she complimented it. And she said, you dressed really well. And she complimented our team saying, I just appreciate how you guys handle your business. And that's been a compliment we received a few times.
A couple times over.
So it's appreciative.
Yeah.
And I will say, sorry, I know I'm ranting here, but on the spectrum of being confident and being meek, wouldn't you rather fall, if you have to pick an extreme, the meek extreme, I would rather run into somebody at an event who is more reserved and listens than is somebody who is way the other thing.
Which confident and meek are not opposite ends of the spectrum.
No. Sorry. No.
Yeah. Meek and proud.
Let me say outgoing and meek. Like people who are just very outgoing and extroverted versus the meek people. I'd rather, if you're going to fall on a side of the spectrum of the extremes, I'd always say,
I feel like that's
always better to err on being meek.
That's
and
where most I'd say of the industry is.
Mm-hmm. It's like planners are usually alphas, I'd say.
Very type
Always
A.
type A people. They're CEOs.
They'll do the talking.
They're bosses. And so my soft gamble is that they'd be more comfortable with you if you're not coming, also type A.
And then, if you know how to listen.
With humility.
Yeah.
So dress nice and smell nice.
Dress nice, smell nice, get a haircut.
There's nothing worse than someone who stinks.
Man, the wedding I shot yesterday stunk. I was second shooting, guys. A little local gig here. Why not? It stunk. It was not good.
Yeah. I'll do it.
Yeah, that did it.
It was a long dance party.
Dude.
Man, we should get earplugs, by the way.
I had earplugs in my bag.
Who I worked with in Napa, they all had earplugs. I was the only one without them.
I had earplugs.
Oh.
Caleb gave me earplugs. And I lost them. I'm sorry,
Classic.
Caleb.
Kind of a repeatable offense for you nowadays.
See, that's
Definitely.
crazy. Actually, on that topic,
by the
hey,
way,
no, I got something to say.
Broke the drone.
No, I didn't.
Get the drone.
No,
pieces.
you know
I
that is
had
not
to
true.
order more
That is
drone
not
pieces.
true.
There's wires poking out of that thing.
I'll attach the pictures. I didn't even fly the drone. I packed it.
I landed it softly.
Sure.
You put it in your bag.
There's one piece in there, Jake.
Threw the bag into the truck.
No. If that was the case,
landed on
that
the
piece
corner.
that was broken would have been in my bag. This broke outside of my bag, and guess who didn't touch our drone
You
that
saw
whole
me
day?
land it.
I'm not blaming you.
I also didn't.
I'm just saying I didn't touch the drone, and it broke outside of my bag.
We don't know that.
I'm pretty
It's
dang
a small
sure.
piece. Where's your bag?
And you can look through my bag all
bet
you
you
want.
tossed it out and
I
vacuumed
promise.
it. Remove the smoking gun.
I promise you will. No. What I was gonna say
That's not a break that would happen on a landing. Because it lands on 4 legs.
was there a
break-
rock that chipped up or something?
That's a break that clearly was pressured on that one. I mean, it's crappy plastic. Pressured on that one piece and it cracked.
I'll give
But
you the
to
benefit of the
to
doubt.
land like
I'll
this-
give you the benefit of the doubt. Jacob, I'll look at the camera and say, I give Jake the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I broke that leg. Guess how much it was to replace it? $16? Okay, I'm still what? $6,000 till I catch up to the stuff that you've broken. No, what I was gonna say is because we were talking about losing things. We were talking about
you already
losing
just
things.
destroyed me, man. Come on,
We were
you
talking
already
about
just
losing things. Jake texted me, and I want you to post this because I think it deserves to be posted. Jake, and I have the screenshot. He sent me a screenshot and said, I owe you an apology. I just found how many batteries?
All right. It was like 5.
So all this time,
So
Jake's
much
been
money.
blaming me for losing batteries and lens caps, and then he looks in a little dusty old drawer.
Not just the drawer, everywhere. They were everywhere. Guys, I've been blaming Nate for like a year. Every time we show up to a wedding, I leave with less batteries, and I'm always convinced he took them and left them because I'm always like, no, I put them in my bag, which I learned I do, but just in the most obscure pockets.
Hey, it happens, though.
And I don't remember doing it, but I remember thinking justification was, well, if I put them here, I'll think it's charged. So I hide them in some weird pocket that I never open anyway because it's dead. And then time after time, one of them was in the Osmo carrying case. So I found like 5 and I texted Nate. And so
apology accepted.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, it doesn't look good if our brand has one person that loses and breaks something. So one of us has to take the blame for something.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I really have no ground to stand on here.
No, guys, in all seriousness, we have a very loving partnership and we enjoy bantering about this stuff. It's a good time.
At our last ride, Nate says, is there a piece of gear we can break for the content? And I was like, that's a crazy thing to say.
I said cheap, crazy cheap gear.
Maybe you did.
Maybe a battery,
Drone. Also, if any of you have connections to buying a Mavic 4, let us know because we want one.
Well, I heard they were at the B&H in New York, which is kind of like under the
Sharon,
rug.
if you're listening to this.
Anybody in New York, send us a Mavic 4.
All right.
This is a good one.
Anything else?
Well, what did we start this episode out on? Because we talked about confidence in dressing, but
Is this the episode we talk about how to start from level 0? Was that
that
last
is
episode?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Next week, Guys, we're filming 2 huge weddings within the span of a week. We have a wedding we're leaving for tomorrow,
So excited.
which, like, we technically have already kicked off our season, but this is like the first out of state. No, I should say that.
This
New-
kind of
new planner.
feels like the kickoff.
It does feel like it because we're doing a lot of Colorado this year, you
Yeah.
guys. This is our first one in Colorado of the year. We have like 3 or 4. Very excited about it. Amazing photographer team, amazing playing team, gorgeous location. So we're going to talk about that wedding on the podcast next week, how it went, what we learned.
Yeah.
And next week we're filming one of our biggest weddings of our career,
So excited.
which is going to be a challenge for us. It's our first same-sex wedding,
yeah.
which we're just so excited to do.
Pumped about it.
Yeah, can't wait.
Local.
Yeah, the coolest brides ever. So just really excited. So we're going to talk about all we learned from that one. I don't think we'll be able to do BTS on it, but we should still talk
Man,
about it.
I can't wait for this podcast to come September, October. We're going to be crazy busy. Yeah. You're gonna
How
see
was your
some-
week?
Some bags. Yeah. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. But it's going to be fun talking about that stuff.
Yeah, it will be. So a lot to come, you guys.
Lots to come.
As always, links to all of our equipment, gear, and resources are below. And if you want to submit any stories, maybe we'll pick up a written by you
Yeah.
soon.
It's been a sec.
Yeah. And Cherish, it's always a pleasure.
Please don't take anything we have said and apply it against us.
Cherish, everything we say is to derail the industry. We actually don't believe any of this. All right, love you. Bye.
All right. Love you. Bye.